Each of the 4 5-bladed propellers had 6 meters in diameter and weighed 32 tons. Each of the 4 rudders had a size close to 30 square meters and weighed 35 tons. The hull was protected by an aluminum belt of 203 mm in thickness, which was as resistant as a rolled homogeneous steel armor plate of 100 mm in thickness, but a 30% lighter. Numerous radars watched air and sea hundreds of miles around the USS Enterprise, and hundreds of antennas connected her with the main U.S. military commands, while sophisticated electronic war systems were ready to disturb enemy radar signals. This huge capital ship also had her own TV station. The USS Enterprise could embark 90 aircraft if required, but the hangar, whose height was equivalent to that of 3 normal decks, offered space for up to 66 aircraft, along with maintenance equipment, and communicated with the externally placed elevators through large openings, which could be closed by sliding panels. SCANFAR was a phased array radar system, intended to be better at tracking multiple airborne targets than conventional rotating radar antennas. SCANFAR consisted of 2 radars, the AN-SPS-32, Long-Range Air Search and Target Acquisition Radar, and the AN-SPS-33 Square Array used for 3D tracking. These early phased arrays, replaced around 1980, were responsible for the distinctive square-looking aisles of the USS Enterprise and the missile cruiser USS Long Beach. Each of the 2 anchors weighed 30 tons. Arresting barriers are raised during emergency landings, when an aircraft cannot use its arresting hook to catch the arresting cables. Arresting cables are intended for landings in normal conditions. They are made of steel and can bring an aircraft traveling at a speed of 250 km per hour to a complete stop in a distance as short as 100 meters. The USS Enterprise had 4 arresting cables installed at certain distance of each other to facilitate the landing operations. Elevators did not have a rectangular shape, unlike those found on previous aircraft carriers. They were given a new shape with an angled area added to one of their sides, which allowed to operate with longer aircraft. The Grumman E-2C Hawkeye is an early warning aircraft which was introduced during the 1960s and remains in service after more than 50 years. The main purpose of these aircraft was to detect the Soviet bombers with enough anticipation to allow fighter aircraft to intercept them before they could attack the war fleet. In 1969, the USS Enterprise was armed with only 2 launchers for RIM-7C Sparrow air-to-air missiles, which had a short range of about 19 kilometers and were intended mainly as close-in weapon systems for destroying incoming anti-ship missiles. Blast deflectors are hydraulically raised when jet aircraft are about to take off, to protect deck personnel and equipment from the engine's exhaust blast, and lowered again as soon as the aircraft had been launched. The 4 steam-powered catapults on the USS Enterprise could move a weight of 35 tons at a speed of 140 knots along their 85 meters long rails. Most takeoff configurations would require a catapult to put the aircraft on the air on such a short distance. Water brakes are used to disperse the enormous kinetic energy that the shuttle would otherwise transmit to the ship's structure. Using the 4 catapults simultaneously, the USS Enterprise could launch an aircraft every 30 to 45 seconds. Visible from a considerable distance, a 25 meters wide strip painted on the angled flight deck of modern aircraft carriers helps the pilots to align their aircraft properly during landing maneuvers. The VOUGHT F-8 CRUSADER was one of the fighter aircraft embarked on board the USS Enterprise during the 1960s. These aircraft were armed with 4 20mm cannons and had 6 hardpoints for carrying up to 2,000 kilograms of bombs, rockets or air-to-air surface missiles. These structures, also called horns, were used to catch the bridles, cables connecting the catapult shuttle with the aircraft, for reuse. When the aircraft left the deck, the bridles could fall on the bridle arrestor, rather than into the sea. The downward angle prevented that bridles bouncing up could hit and damage the aircraft.